Suddenly, I'm in movies that people are excited about, and that is a nice change. I think those little laundry detergent capsules are an amazing thing to have. I'm very happy to be involved with great filmmakers. I love the whole of California. I have places. My whole thing is with all the money I make, I just want to buy as many places in California as I can because I love it. Back then they had Elvis and they thought Elvis was so risque. So everyone has their perception to what innocence is. I read comic books and stuff, but I didn't know a lot about it. You might be an interested guy, an interested reporter, then I get to know you and then I know you're this also and you're this also and you may hide it in a certain way. That's what I love. W is not necessarily a political film, but it was sort of a contrasting reality for me to get into George W. Bush as a character because of how I felt about his administration before I started making the film. I'm really lucky. I was given my dad's good genes. Anything that is absurd I see as a Coen brothers influence. The Coen brothers are my favorite people, period. My dad didn't often bring me to the set, being an actor himself, so my infancy as an actor was racked with a lot of giggles and nervousness. Fear. There's always fear. You recreate yourself in every movie, don't you? It just seems to me that from the Republican perspective, there's so much focus on how bad the other side is, as opposed to their running on their own trajectory within the issues. When accepting or preparing for a role, fear is the motivating factor. It's probably a bit of a power trip when you befriend somebody enough that they trust you to tell you things. Football? Forget it. I didn't have the thing inside me where I wanted to smash against somebody and watch them break. I was too sensitive for that and disliked being that sensitive. Nothing misleads people like the truth. Folks can believe what they like, but eventually a man's got to declare if he's going to do what is right. The next couple of jobs will determine, at least from a business point of view, if I'm a guy who's actually the real thing or I'm a guy who's had a nice moment. To complain now would be kind of sad. I like the way things are going. I remember at the premiere of my second movie I started crying. I thought, I'm so bad that I either have to stop this and do something else or learn what I'm doing. I'm really lucky. I was given my dad's good genes. It takes me 10 minutes to get ready to go out, and that includes the shower. I love the competitive part of stocks. A lot of fear and greed, that's all it is. All I see is green and red. I used to go to Vegas and play the horses, And then I realized how ridiculous that was. There is no winning in gambling, but there is on the stock market. When I was in jail, I could only think about what the average person has to go through. The person who has no power to go to the press or no money to hire a lawyer. I have to tell you, you can't have an ego when you're an actor. A lot of actors have them, but in reality most of those people are just sensitive artists dying for a hug and a compliment. Football? Forget it. I didn't have the thing inside me where I wanted to smash against somebody and watch them break. I was too sensitive for that and disliked being that sensitive. I only took a high school acting class because there was no other class I wanted to take. I loved it, but I was always against acting as a profession. I didn't like the monetary fluctuations I saw. Suddenly, I'm in movies that people are excited about, and that is a nice change. I'm very happy to be involved with great filmmakers. W is not necessarily a political film, but it was sort of a contrasting reality for me to get into George W. Bush as a character because of how I felt about his administration before I started making the film. I covered my face because they had taken my wisdom teeth out. I gotta make money. It all tends to disappear in this field. I have a long way to catch up. I have to start with the pros this year, about 20 seconds back. I was invited to a couple of races, but I was doing a play in New York. George W. Bush brought a lot of minorities into his administration, which was a positive thing, and they had some issues that they wanted to press, but 9/11 really gave them direction. It gave them a purpose. The last really expensive trip we took was so uncomfortable. It's so lazy. I want somebody to give me a great $30 massage as opposed to a bad $265 massage. It's probably a bit of a power trip when you befriend somebody enough that they trust you to tell you things. The only way change will ever happen is if we speak up. And we have to know that it actually has an impact. Because we have a lot more power than we think we do, I think. Look, I'm going to take full advantage of this situation just because I love working with great filmmakers. But I've been around for a while. And I'm not going to play into the hype that I'm some great, discovery. I got picked on a lot. I was a complete geek in school. I had braces. I didn't have the hot girlfriend. I wasn't ever sought after. I was a stocky, awkward kid who got laughed off the tennis court when I tried that. You have to be okay with wins and losses. You can't just be looking for the wins and, when the losses happen, you can't buy more and more because you're sure it's going to bounce. We call that revenge trading. There's always been violence in movies, And there will always be violence in movies. Whether it lends to the one psychotic that's out there, thinking the worst thoughts you could possibly think, is always going to be a mystery.